back, the temperature rises. What happens to the air pressures as we go back? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 stages of compression. I think we counted 18 inside the room, but whatever. So it has 17 stages of compression. This engine was a Vietnam air engine with an afterburner and the F4. Okay. This engine came back with bullet holes right through the case. The case is like cast iron or whatever, it's steel. I take a magnet to it. Modern cases are not steel, it weighs too much. We make them out of aluminum, magnesium alloys, titanium, stuff like that, lighter weight metals. As we go back now, we now have 500 plus PSI back here, right? See the holes that are in there? Lower pressure, higher pressure. We also have air ducts that are hooked up here that we can get hot air now. What can we use the hot air for? Look at that big air duct. Put your hand on it. Go up a little higher. See that? We can use it for pressurization, air conditioning. And we also have tubes that are going up front to anti-ice things. So those are all bleed air lines. Okay. As we go in, we have fuel nozzles. Fuel nozzles. Okay, all the way around. And these are our cans, our combustion chamber. And this is called a can or engine, which GE makes. Right with me. Move back a little bit. You're kind of in my product section over here. All right. We have igniters. Okay. This right here is see the shielded wire right there? That's going to an igniter box. Through on the other side. There's 2 igniter boxes. Here's an igniter right here. If I unscrew the lead, but anyway, this can has an igniter in it. There's also one on the other side that has an igniter in it. What happens? They cycle 60 to 100 times a minute. They go pop, 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 pop. Huge spark. If you've had Bob for Power Plant 2, probably showed you that. Told you don't touch the engine when he fires them off and stuff. The reason why? They're very dangerous. And it even has a little red dot. There's the igniter box right there. Right there, Sam. That's the igniter box. Okay? So see red dot, danger. Danger, danger, danger. Okay? Lethal shot. Okay? What happens? We have the high pressure air coming back. Well, remember we're going to spin it up with the starter, right? About 15% N1. It only has N1. Remember, watch your fingers, you guys, keep them out. When this rotates, actually it rotates this way. Notice the whole thing rotates at the same ratio. How many spools is this?
1.
Single spool, okay? Turbojet, no bypass. Well, once we light off this can, the pressure in this can is high compared to the can next to it, which is low. We have a tube right here, it's called a flame propagation tube. The lower pressure pulls part of the flame over and lights that one off. Now that's high compared to that one. So we have flames going like this and like that, and it goes within like a second or two. What the heck's going on over there? The flames move around. Now we get this hot gases coming out, right? We now go into this right here. This back is the hot section. This here is the cold section. As the air comes back, you go back over here. The end on the compressor, the stators did what? They formed what? Divergent ducts, right? The nozzles, which are right here, turbine nozzles, turbine stators, turbine nozzle diaphragm, they're nozzles. They form a conversion duct. What happens to velocity?
It goes down.
It goes up. Okay? So we now have a flame that's about 1/3 the length of the can. We have extra cool air. 25 to 35% of combustion air is inside the can. It's swirled. Okay? Has like a swirled a fuel nozzle stator on it. We have a flame that's coming back. It's very, very focused and really intense. As we increase the throttle, it increases the fuel pressure, which increases the amount of fuel that goes in. The flame gets a little bigger. It also gets a heck of a lot hotter. So now, the nozzles point down this way. If you look at them, see if they have something good. They might have a pen. Nozzles, if you look at them, the way they're configured, they point like that. These are the turbine blades. Put your fingers in there. So it's pushing down, it hits the turbine blade. Another name for the turbine blade is a turbine bucket. Okay? It's like a water mill. You know, water comes over and hits the bucket and carries it on. So we have this exhaust gas. This is the pressure valve. The highest pressure in the engine is at the outlet of the diffuser, which is the inlet of combustion. It turns the turbine. Then we have another set of nozzles which have been removed. You can see them down inside the engine, and they're going to actually direct it again. They're going to boost velocity one more time. Every time we go through a turbine stage, it extracts pressure energy. So as the air came in, pressure went way up, stayed relatively constant, dropped a little bit during combustion, and now it goes out the back. So as we go through the three stages of the turbine, this is the first stage, the second stage, the third stage. This engine came from a Convair 880, which is an old four-engine commercial aircraft, okay, from the 60s. This GE owned these engines, okay. The airplane was over in Africa. The airplane came back with bullet holes all in it and all kinds of stuff, but it flew cargo around Africa for about 10 years longer than its service life was. So what happened is, the problem with turbine blades are, they have what they call creep. They elongate. The higher the temperature, the hotter it gets, the more elastic they become and they grow. And it's called creep. It's called permanent and cumulative elongation, which means if it grows today, and it grows tomorrow, and it keeps growing, it's going to continue to get bigger. Well, we have air seals that protect us. We would rather wear out the air seal than the blades. This has gone beyond the air seals. It wore into the air seals. So if you look at the blades, especially the second stage, they're severely scalloped at the edge. It's where the honeycomb air seals, which I have one inside the costume, have contacted the case during takeoff power, which is where the engine's the hottest at. Okay? Now, once we go back, we've extracted pressure energy to drive what? The compressor, the accessory gearbox, and all that stuff, right? Our net result is, let's go back to the back, we're not going to put an exhaust on it, okay? If you look over at the one sticking out, it has like a cookie cutter on the back. That's a noise suppressor, and also an exhaust nozzle. It bolts onto here. It also has a thrust reverser inside, okay? So we can reverse thrust. These are called radial support struts. Remember what happens when the airflow comes off the turbine? It wants to come out of here at a 45-degree angle, like that. We want the air to flow straight out the back, hit the outside air, right? So what we have to do is make it up. So these are straightening vanes. They're also support struts. And inside there's a bearing inside there, and this is a scavenge oil pump. If you had Bob lubrication, you're probably going to do that. Yeah. One of the projects we do. Anyway, from there, okay, it goes into the exhaust. Let's walk over to the exhaust. Got a data plate. Well, a data plate on here somewhere. On the data plate, it's going to tell us. That's it right there. All right. Remember we talked about the actual area of the exhaust nozzle and how we can change it. There it is right there. 344 point whatever. I can't really read that. 345.8. And this is a sound suppressor. It's going to mix cool air with the hot air. And what we're able to do, if you look inside, this starts right here. So it's about 4.5 feet, 5 feet long. Okay. Here's our thrust reverser linkage, which runs off oil pressure. Okay, can be air pressure, fuel pressure. Usually on the hot end, we like to use oil pressure, especially phosphate esterase, which tends to be non-flammable under the 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit, like Skyfall. So cool air moves through here, mixes with the hot air and lowers the noise, but you can't quiet the beast. This thing is loud. 4 engines, black smoke's coming out, it's loud. All right, now, remember I told you if I wanted to trim this engine, I can tighten up that area. This is called engine trim right here. Undo that, I can take that off. Okay, you can see where there's not one here. There's one here, not one here. There's one here, not one here. So if I want to make this put out more thrust, I add one of those on. But what happens to my EGT, which is measured right here? It goes up because we're choking it out. It's not getting out as fast. So it's exhaust gas temperature goes up. Also, because we're making more thrust, when you do that, more velocity, fuel flow is going to go up too. Okay? So, my job was to actually, each one of these is going to add so many pounds of thrust. On this engine, probably each one added like 200 pounds of thrust, maybe 100. So if you need to boost velocity, we're going to add those on. That's called trim. It's basically tightening up the hole right here. Okay, so therefore that outlet now has been decreased, whatever that trim is. Now it's on the inside, it'll have a data plate on some of them. It'll say like 1% or 2% or whatever, and it gives you a percentage of how much trim you can get from it. Okay. Let's say that I added a bunch on here and it won't do what I want it to do. Remember you asked me how long it takes for the engine to cool down? I sometimes have to do that. They screw up in the shop and they put the wrong exhaust nozzle on the engine, which has been balanced for cruise for the engine. They put this one, like let's say the one I wanted to put on had some major cracks in it. Anything that gets hot cracks. So they swapped it out, sent it away, and I got another one. Well, they didn't read that and put something on that's close to it. So now I go out there and run the engine, and I put trim in and it won't bring the thrust up because this area is too large. It was for a different engine that had too much thrust and they opened it up. So now I got to unbolt this dude. I got to come back over here, take this off right here, okay? Take it back to the shop. Remember I had like a tug with a trailer so I could take stuff off, take it back, and go like 5 miles back or whatever it was, and drive back with another one. As I got better, I could just call them on the phone and say, bring me out an exhaust nozzle that has X number of inches between this and that'll be good. And they would bring it out to me by the time I'd go to lunch for an hour, let it cool down, because it's going to be hot. And I'm working outside, by the way. We had a stand that covered us from the sun, but still, it reflected sun and all that stuff. That's what artificial age was pretty much. We've got Arizona sun and heat driving. Anyway, so now what happens is I'm going to take that off. It's a pain in the ass because they didn't do what they're supposed to do in the shop. When this thing came in for inventory, they wrote down his numbers down to make sure that one goes back on there. It didn't happen very often, but it did happen. Okay? And then the manual will tell us how much one of these will do as far as thrust. It'll tell you what percentage of thrust you get from one of these. This is just one type. Okay. I had a round nozzle which just had an inclined plane which I showed you last. I can put like four of them if I need to. If you got to put 4 in, it's better just do another nozzle. This is more weight you're adding to the aircraft. Also, it's more work you got to do. Okay. What else? Thrust reverser. Inside of the clamshell, these are called cascade vanes right here. What happens when this actuator pulls back in, it opens up, takes the clamshell, it closes it like that. We're going to get air moving like that, which is called reverse thrust. So what happens, Bob, is the engine's turning clockwise as view from the rear, right? He knows it's coming, okay? When they put it in reverse, the engine stops rotating and turns the opposite way and blows air back out. No, blows air out the front. Okay. No. Well, all it is, they put this clamshell closes. And then, remember we talked about clamshell? That's what clamshell's at. Right. What's that? Aerodynamic. That's aerodynamic over there on that turbofan. This is mechanical blockage. What they do is they put vanes on them, and it becomes like a hybrid, like it's called cascade vanes. Those are cascade vanes, but the method of blockage is mechanical.
So when you put on the thrust reversers,